pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First order of business. No public hearings. Public comment. We're going to start with a presentation on the status of the bell tower.
Hello, I introduce Lisa from Greentown Property. Just give them they got the schedule, they got the drawings.
Yeah, so we were hoping to have formal construction drawings for tonight's meeting. They're going back and forth between our engineer out in Pennsylvania, who works directly with the Amish, who's building it for us, and our local engineer, Rich Nolan. So probably this week. Again, I was hoping today. We got some drafts back, but not completed. We should have the formal construction drawings completed. I'll email them over to Peter as soon as we have them this week. We are on track and expected to be here the first week of January to start actually building the structure on site. And I'm expecting everything's going to take a few weeks by the time we get the old timbers out of the building, get the new structure in place, and then secure it back to the building.
Okay.
The only thing that will change our schedule for being on site and building is weather. But unless we have an ice storm over here.
Just a little bit back what is going on with you or doing new foundation.
So we did have our local engineer come over. We had a few gentlemen from our Amish team come over. They will be here within the next couple of weeks. They're going to dig down for the one post and see what kind of base, what sort of base we already have there, and work with our local engineer to confirm what we're doing to secure the new posts. So there will be some type of new foundation, but they're working out those details.
Yeah, so TBD, but something will be determined in depth.
Yes.
One question that I had, I noticed that it said that you were only priming the structure. Why not paint it if you were already gonna be here with the equipment and the?
Let me answer that question. The whole building needs to be painted. And before they paint it a certain color and then paint the building another color, they're priming it. And I think that's my next bid to the village board is to come and get the building painted, some of the rotted wood removed.
Okay,
So that's, I'll see you about that in February.
okay, fair enough. Just wanted to
Yeah,
make sure we weren't going to
No, I
not
think
paint
it's safe,
it and
yeah.
then have to remobilize and get.
yeah,
I think it was last painting year. 2009.
yeah.
Yeah, we did talk about that when we first were talking about the structure and trying to get colors, and it was decided it would be better than the whole building.
Seems like every day.
Mr. Finkel.
I've brought this up numerous times before, and know that all of those horizontal timbers should be flashed, should have flashing on top. That's why it rotted away to start with. Because all those timbers are exposed to the weather, painted or not, the water sits on top of them and rots them away. So all the horizontal timbers that are around there should really be flashed with something.
Okay. I mean,
I can't say you can do it, I can't say, but that to me, maybe that should be a separate bid or something, I don't know. If they're not done, the same thing's gonna happen all over again.
We failed in maintaining it also because there were little pine trees growing out of it, some of the cross members.
And I'm sure it would cost all that much to flash the 8 or 10 horizontal timbers in there.
I'll definitely note it to the engineers that are.
Yeah, well, that's what happened to it. That's why it rotted away, because it wasn't flashed. Right. At all, so.
Any more questions from the board?
Top of that.
Yeah, you have to do with the, kind of Jimmy flashing.
It would look like a C stood up. Basically, over top of it, It'll go right over top of it, then have a drip edge on either side, so any water that gets on it drips off.
Yeah.
Those just run down the side of the chimney.
One last question to me, I think. When you guys see it on these drawings, I think I see, added detail for chamfered corners and timbers, so the edges are like paved in, right?
Yeah,
Is that what that?
at a 45. If you look at what's over there, you can see what we're talking
I
about.
know. I'm confirming that that's what chamfered
Yeah,
corners.
that's what it
timbers
is.
Thank
Yep.
you. And the other thing is there are some on the current-ish structure over there, there are I'm gonna call them architectural details. They've got little like bow ties carved in them. Is that what the PVC molding is on some of these? I mean, they're like the Victorian rules.
It is, we're gonna duplicate exactly what's on the structure now.
Awesome. Thank you. Sorry, I'm not familiar with the correct terms for these things.
I know, no, it's fine.
Could I ask a question? I don't know, maybe the board or somebody knows this, maybe you know, Jim. This last tower was constructed, was this one that was constructed in the eighties when we had the grant come in?
Yeah,
Do we have any kind of idea what kind of footing was poured at that time for that?
no, I don't know.
Does anybody have any kind of
I,
sort of
what's,
specs on that?
what's there though has lasted since the 80s and hasn't heaved or, so I have to imagine.
But I did know, I noticed on her report that if it's not down 4 feet, they're gonna have to dig down 4 feet and go into a new foundation, and that's gonna. You know, that's actually gonna, probably add immensely to the cost of what we're paying out. I'm just curious.
I know that the engineer, checked the thickness of the current pad, and it's about 6 inches. So
Okay,
it's a pretty thick pad that sits out there, but it is cracked.
right,
So the only way to tell is to dig down.
okay.
Actually, that's an interesting question. If you have the foundation, the elevation off, that's the other thing.
So it is gonna be an additional cost depending on what has to be done, and we have rough numbers on it, but I don't wanna put it out there until we know for sure.
The reason I'm saying this feeling is we have to get the rough number, we have to approve the rough numbers. That surveys. What do we have?
We had a contingency.
We have a contingency, so,
Okay.
yeah, and it should be enough money in contingency.
I was just wondering if we
Yeah.
could like produce something tonight that gives additional funds. We need to.
Back to the issue of the paint, do I know I brought it up for 21 on the board as well, it's on our plan, it's on our plan. Primer, how long will that last? Before it, I know, here Peter saying February, but, how long will primer last before it has to be painted?
I've had it on my house for about 10 years.
It's like, probably better than paint, actually, so it's got a curing agent, that's, I'm sure it's fine.
The primer that you use, do you know what quality it is, do you have any idea how long it lasts before it has to be painted?
I don't know the quality, I don't know the exact timing of the primer, but I will say that we build through the whole winter and we prime and we wait until the spring before we apply the paint. Because it's not gonna go on as well as it is in warmer weather when it's too cold.
Gonna hold Peter to the spring.
Any more?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda were the Gilligans.
We have an open comment period, or
Pardon?
more public comment period.
When we're done with Gilligan, we go. Okay. I just want to preface the Gilligan's presentation with little background. 2 weeks ago or so, they came into the office with a survey. We looked at the survey and said, that's weird. So we went down, checked it out. did some measurements, and sure enough, their survey was correct, and what we thought for decades, that we had that path between Jane's and the village gardens belong to the village. Well, it turns out it's actually 30 feet over. And the fence that the old Wilson house,
The cyclone.
yeah, is 30 feet onto village property. It's a separate issue, but so I just wanted to stipulate that we believe that is your property now, and we apologize for any inconvenience that it's caused over the years. But as soon as we saw the survey, we said, whoops.
No, that was the reaction of the survey people, what? No, but we'll let them know.
Okay.
They just wanted to appreciate that very much. And again, it's just that strip, obviously, it doesn't go all the way up to the town
Right,
garden.
right.
It kind of ends where the hedge is.
Kind of
And that's fine.
Zigzags around.
Go back and forth like an
At least we know where the starting point is.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, so. Yeah, I just stand up here. I know about 2 weeks ago when I came in, just to kind of get on the docket for tonight. I like 7 handouts, so I was kind of hoping everybody here probably got them. And that's my wife, this is my wife, Robin. I'm Joe, by the way. Should have numbered them 1, 2, 3, and obviously, here 3 days, you have no clue on it, so I'm trying to give a quick overview on it, not kill it and everything like that, this type of thing. But Fort James Ave is where we live. A background on that is summer resident. Forever prior to, you know, my dad, my uncle, grew up with my grandparents. Then effectively it kind of rolled into the next generation of family. My parents, we always got set up from the Bronx to go up here for the summertime with our grandmother. My mom would come up. And effectively, it was a summer home. It wasn't built for the winter at that point in time. About 5 years ago or so, we effectively kind of renovated the house in terms of making it a full-time, you know, year-round type of house. Needed a heating system, needed 2 new bathrooms, needed an updated kitchen, that kind of stuff. So all that happened basically, and kind of at that point, it changed from like summertime residence to a full-time residence. So, and I say about the last 3 to 4 years, that's where we've been as far as that goes. The house, just to give you guys idea where anybody knows, probably everyone knows where James Avenue is, so it's right at the bend where it starts checking. It kind of, our neighbors on the left were Bill and Shirley Ryan forever. Now it's Bill's granddaughter Cody and her husband there. You know, Colleen, Bill and Cheryl's daughters on the other side was Pat. You head down to Route 9. So that's exactly where the house is, you know, basically on that corner there, as far as that goes. The nature of the problem, just like to discuss tonight or point out, and again, the people that have the handouts, I'll try to go, they're not numbered 1 through 5, but I'll try to go 1 page at a time. Effectively, what we have is on an ongoing basis throughout the year. And I say throughout the year, mostly winter time, effectively, you know, we get the runoff, things like that. But this happens with any major storms now, whatever. We seem to getting extensive flooding in our backyard, you know, effectively not from the front, but what would be the backyard of the house. And it kind of rolls in to that property. Gary basically mentioned right now, that strip that kind of goes out to James Avenue. And again, some of the pictures actually kind of show from a few of the storms that we've had here. That front page doesn't, you know, I just to really eyeball that front page. It says the ditch completely filled in along George Ave, where basically pushing water to the backyard of Fort James Avenue after a major storm or winter melting and runoff. That's not the entire strip that runs from the to the garden. You know, basically the garden comes down from on that side of George there. And as you get past what would be 13th George on the other side, effectively at a diagonal across where the garden ends, the ditch kind of from where that spot starts up, you know, effectively coming down, this seems to get lessened. And effectively it kind of fills up to the spot, which is kind of like almost adjacent to where you come across to our property. So much so, and I did it today just to make sure I'm not, imagining things. You can literally walk across the ditch and there is no ditch. You walk right across. Basically, take a small step off and you're on the road, on George Ave. So effectively, that first page there, that kind of shows you, it doesn't give you the real idea of what it looks like in relation to either side of that. But that seems to be almost a stopping point as water is coming down. It's hitting that and kind of like sending on a major storm or a major melt, sending it off our property, where if you go to the second page, you can get an idea of what I'm talking about there. That building off on the second page on the top picture there, that's 13 George across the street. So you come across to the diagonal and you can kind of see where the garden is there. The water is kind of flowing into our backyard from that spot. And that's pretty much the area where it's kind of really kind of built up in terms of it, the ditch itself, as it starts in the top is pretty good. Then it starts to lessen a little bit. Then you hit that spot and it's, effectively, it looks to us like it's hitting that area and kind of rolling, kind of sending the water in that path right to our backyard and everything like that. Effectively, and that being page 2 when you do look at it. Just to follow through, I'll go through the pages here and just kind of mention what we have. Page 3 is the same thing. You're kind of looking at the backyard just from another angle, effectively. And, again, that's the flooding. You can see the garden in the back. You get a flow of where we are in terms of our backyard. The next page on page 4 is the side of the property. The property Gary just mentioned there. You can see the hedges there. We got water on one side of the hedges. The other side of the hedges is the property Gary mentioned before. And that gets, basically completely flooded at that point. The 5th page there, you can see water is flowing from the other side also. It's kind of to the point where the 2 houses on the other side in between there, water is being pumped out from the structurally there because of the lay of the land. It always looks like a river on the other side coming down at the other side. And then with the lay of the land, it flows into that area. So it's like we're getting a double hit from both sides and everything like that. So that kind of takes you to the flow of the pictures there, just to give you an idea of what we were talking about. Sorry that's not, it's better expanded on the pages here in terms of the explanation. What we're kind of hoping maybe is on that side by George Ave, something can be done where it can get cleaned out better, or effectively a bigger ditch can be built, but particularly in that one area, just get cleaned out so we have more of a flow where the water can go. Because we really feel, and basically, we feel like water is hitting there and kind of not getting through. It's kind of building up, some getting through, but a lot is going into, heading to, I think, almost the river to our property. On these major scenarios, we have a major storm or your winter time with a runoff and all too. Obviously, as you go further down, the ditch picks up again. And then, my understanding is when all that work was done at the end of the road there to get the access to Route 9, make it a little bit safer, for traffic either way. Effectively, you do have the cement there, which is curved. You have the water basically kind of running down there pretty smoothly. You have drains there, the water goes in the drains. And it's probably on both sides, it gets shot out on Route 9, whatever. And pretty much, that I understand there, but effectively you don't have that flow above that. And we feel a lot of that's getting into our backyard and all too. So that's kind of just to give you an idea where we are. We're kind of hoping the town can do something. That's pretty much it, that type of thing. I would say in the past, there might be here, my mom probably heard about this before. I know I used to hear about it every year. She used to come up here. I moved up here in '82, and this was no longer a summer residence for me. It was a house you took care of during the winter time. So the rest of my family came up, they could enjoy coming back here. Okay, so but I used to hear about this all the time. I know she would bring it up, whatever, that type of thing. But effectively right now we're there full time. That's what we're looking at. So we hope we can get some relief from the town in that area. And again, it's a two-sided thing. And as Robin has mentioned to me, and again, it's something I thought of, as the road gets paved over, the road gets higher. Well, if the road gets higher, the ditch is not keeping up with that either, that type of thing. So, maybe some work needs to be done there in terms of strengthening that on either side. With the other side, we have water that, and again, I'm sure this is common, this comes up. It's coming from maybe even comes out of a neighbor's house. I'm not sure what we do, but the lay of the land allows that to come down and come into our property. I don't know, that might be a neighbor to neighbor issue. I'm not sure if the town would do anything about that. But I think on the George Avenue side, that would be something that hopefully the town can look at, maybe come back to us with some idea of something to be done. That's pretty much it, Doc. Thank you. Gary, thanks for following up on the other issue.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
I have one suggestion, in the pitch, as you are heading east. And you pass the gardens, where that low spot is. Put a slight berm to raise the ditch line. That's it.
From where?
As you're going down toward Route 9,
Mhm.
and right before the Young's property, that I was assuming that's the lowest spot I know. Take and put a slight raised grade, not everything, just the grade to retain the water. Because that on a heavy rain event, it will go over. I mean, if you get 2-3 inches at a time, it's going to go over. Maybe even more, I don't know, but I'm just thinking of something, you know, as he was explaining it, that would be about what I could, because then the water can't go over it.
But how,
Yes.
you mean runoff from the road?
It will contain the water in the ditch, so it won't go onto the property.
But the Young's house is quite a distance away. I know it's kitty corner, but
Right, but he's saying the water's coming up out of the ditch. Well, it can't come up out
No,
of
it's
the
not.
ditch. Well, it had to come, it had to be before, otherwise.
my understanding is
He's also, I think he's also saying there is a pitch.
standing water.
I don't know what to do with that. Everybody's property runs to it.
That's a real low spot.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's it.
you can see where the water.
That's
runs.
not, it has nothing to do with us, but if he's saying it's coming around.
No ditch there, where's the water supposed to go?
I-
Except for our
I'm,
property.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding here. Are you talking?
Yeah, that picture. This is supposedly the ditch, but there's no ditch.
It's that
So
one,
the water
that,
goes
that
right
patch.
through
right.
here, right down here.
Yeah, but from where? Over here?
No, from the back by the gardens, the garden side.
Okay, George Avenue.
But does that water even reach the ditch? I've never seen it.
I guess heavy rain goes.
Right. That's what I'm saying, is you put a slight berm here. You raise this grade right here, which will contain the water.
Right.
I mean, as everybody, I mean, I've been here, long time, my whole life, and.
Yeah, oh, you know the
So-
property. No, yeah, no, you know,
And
nobody knows the property better than you. You're right.
if you raise. Everybody can't see me here.
I know what you're saying. I know
Yeah,
what you're saying.
right through here a little.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go 6 inches, that's a lot.
Right.
Where are you?
But you-
Right through here.
It's a twofold problem, right? You're talking about
But the
this
water
side of
is coming.
When you have a heavy rain event, 4 or 5 inches in no time, this is the least of our issues. In the village,
Yeah.
I'm just being realistic.
Yeah, no,
Let's hope we don't have too many more.
No, correct, but, you know, this tends to do this in the spring before the frost comes out of the ground. Because there's nowhere for it to go, right?
Right.
And then the only other time that I really notice it is on a real heavy rain event.
So my question is, how does the water get from here to George Ave ditch?
No, they're saying it's coming this direction.
You're saying it's coming.
both.
Right, it's coming from George when it hits that patch where it's really, it kind of hits that patch right in.
All right, I was thinking about it 180 degrees backwards.
So clean it out and put a little
Well,
berm.
you can't ditch this, and this ditch is deep up here, where it gets shallow. is only-
Yeah, right.
I'm not arguing.
That's right, yeah.
And, but the issue there is to pull, to drain the underground utilities. That's why when we put the bypass in the state, the deal was the state paved this and ditched this and did all that drainage work down there. That's why they did it. So I'm not saying that maybe in the future it can, but there's quite a bit involved there to do this.
Right, there is a power, John's right, there's a power pole right there. That, you know,
And there's underground.
Would adding the berm to, were you talking about adding the berm to that right there?
No, what I'm saying to help alleviate this, if they're saying "Oh, this deep, this right through here is deep. When it gets back in here, it does get shallower, right at this point. So just at this one area, put a slight berm. That'll take it off us,
Yeah, that seems,
in my opinion. It's not a
Where's
big
the
ordeal.
ditch?
The ditch is
Along George.
along George.
Okay, so, right, okay.
But
that's-
there's nothing we can do about all these
No.
other
Right,
properties.
right.
no,
Well,
we can
this-
only do
Yeah,
just
yeah,
the,
no, I just was trying to get,
right, just to,
So the
Fix the
ditch
little part.
overflows and goes towards the garden? I've never
I don't,
seen that.
I'm talking the five, it's what, like when we had that 5-inch rainstorm,
Mount Morris,
Well, yeah.
comes down off of Mount Morris.
it comes off, everything's flooded at that point in time.
Right, and
so
then
I mean-
bottom of another hill.
To me, is that I understand the situation here. What we have to add to it is very rare, but it. Right here, I'm not gonna argue that, on a very heavy rain event, yeah. I mean, in fact, it will actually be more than what the culvert, 12-inch or 15-inch culvert can take at that
Is
point.
that the Simpsons property that we'd be doing that on, or?
Well, this is village here. Because and once it gets over here at Young's house,
Cody's,
Yeah. Cody.
Here's
That's
Yeah.
Simpsons.
their
That's
property,
why I'm
their house is
confused.
here,
Okay.
Cody's here,
yeah, here's George, just a
right.
little,
Can I make a suggestion?
yes.
How about you go? Excuse me? How about if we go take a look at this, write a plan and not try to figure it out? right now?
No, no.
Sounds good.
Everything you're saying makes sense to me, but I can't visualize that.
Yeah, that's
like
the issue.
We're all trying to really think about it and then we'll lay it all out.
And that was my
I would
intent, to
prefer that.
bring it up to you guys to look at it and also, and John knows the house better than anybody in here, possibly me. Because, for all those years, I took care of the house, I was the summertime resident. If I had an issue, I called John, and I appreciate it.
Alrighty, thank you. So we will
Thank you.
take a look at it now that I can visualize the problem. Continuing public comment. Mr. Finkel,
Thank you for the light on the flagpole.
you are welcome.
And has anything happened with that truck?
No,
It's a month old.
Yeah, I know, slowly rotting into the ground.
any other public comments? Yes.
Oh,
Yep, Heidi first stencil.
sure that's the right. But yeah, I'm fighting first and so on. I haven't lived here that long, but I've always loved the village. I think it's so nice school experiences that they can make people look to do. There, I knew I was one to get there. And one thing that's always kind of bothered me about Round Lake is Route 9. So one of my missions here is to, and I don't know why it wasn't done when you mentioned the bypass. I don't know why this wasn't done when they built the bypass, but to get Route 9 Village reduced to a 2-lane road, significant decrease in speed limit. And I talked to people already in the about this and we've made some steps. And I have some good friends who work for Federal Highway Administration and DOT, and I've been talking to them a lot the past few months, and what kind of started it again in my head was there's a Wildlife Crossings Act bill, state bill that has been in the works for a while, here at least, and just November 15th, finally, it got handed to the governor for signature. It was really good news, and what that bill would do is fund projects, road projects that are designed to help reduce roadkill, wildlife kill. And would be a great example for that. Also to get funded under that because of the lake there and a lot of the wildlife. And then there's also DOT and federal highways called the road diet. That's where you shrink it down to 2 lanes. I don't know if this has ever been tried before, like I said, but so the goal is for pedestrian safety and reduce roadkill. And I know there's a lot of accidents, even since I lived here for 6 months, it seems like there's a lot of accidents.
Just had one a couple days ago.
Yeah. So that was really good news about this act. Hopefully it will get signed. In order to do the road diet, any kind of project like that. DOT, I don't think this would have to be done under the Water Crossing Act funding, but they have to do a traffic study, you know, they put up the rubber strips across the road, and I don't know if anything like that has ever been done.
Yeah, I've got a lot of data on that.
Oh, good, yes, that's something.
But what they look at for changing the speed limit is number of accidents.
Yeah. So, so that's what, I wanna form a team. You know, if anyone's interested in helping, I've already got a few people that just said yes in the village to pursue this and see where we can go with it. People have had experience in previous attempts, or people are against it or for it, or that'd be great. And, thank you.
Thank you, Heidi.
Got a comment on the
Yes, sir.
wildlife. How do you teach a goose to go through the passage under the road? They're gonna go over the road no matter what you do.
Well, reducing.
And that's the biggest amount of wildlife you
Yeah.
have there,
Yeah,
because I have to pick them up when they get.
yeah. Reducing speed limit.
I'll go for reducing speed limit, but you can't put two lanes into one. You expect to avoid traffic, and I go out there, and write tickets on that road, so I know.
Yeah. Well, if you got any ideas of how to train groups.
But you'll never train the geese to go underground through a tunnel. They're gonna go over the top, no matter what. And they're the ones who didn't hit all the time.
I think we have made a lot of progress in terms of pedestrian safety by posting, getting the no parking signs along Route 9 and been enforcing that. And it's been markedly better since.
It
100%.
doesn't slow them down though, Gary.
It doesn't slow them down, true, but at least you haven't got to worry about a door opening or bicycle.
A few will move over when I got the lights on, but the rest of them, you see how close they can get to.
It's parts of, the town of Malta, when they were doing their pedestrian, like all the sidewalks and the roundabouts and things like that. A lot of that was 55 miles per hour. And it's been reduced to 45.
And 30 through the 30 through the downtown.
A lot of the speed limit set, as far as I understand it, at the 85th percentile of what cars would go on that highway, and so by narrowing the highway, by definition, you reduce the speed limit because cars are able to go not as fast. So that's why I believe Malta was able to get, and I think there was changes to state law, right? There's no rule as it relates to speed limits. So I think there's things that can be done.
On local roads, not on state roads, it's more difficult.
Right, it is, right, but I'm saying Malta was able to drop their speed limit by making improvements to the road sidewalks and things that they. Yeah. It's doable, I guess.
Certainly worth investigating. Any other public comment? Alrighty, superintendent report.
Yeah, well, one thing I'd like to report to the village board, is, Ryan Young and Mike Metzer, passed their water operators test. So that's a start. Next is to have the health department come down, go through and finalize it, so they display that they're capable. They are. The water meter to Victoria Landing is repaired and operating. Also started meter readings, so that's going pretty well, so it's wrapped up. Besides that, I don't know how far you want to get into it, we just put a new steering box in the 2000 International, new tires on it, just normal stuff, new tires on 2022 F350. That's, so, yeah, it's been costing a lot of money. Decorating the Christmas tree, getting that ready, and just normal stuff as usual.
That's it, Jen?
How many bulbs went on that Christmas tree?
1,400.
Wow. One goes out, they all go. Right? You gotta find the one. Okay, treasurer.
First three items on the treasurer's report tonight are informational. The financial update, with regard to our, new CPAs. Last meeting was reported that the OSC requested corrections were, the OSC requested corrections were made to our 22-23 FR. And although those corrections are continuing, it sounds like we're nearing the end. And our monthly reconciliations have stalled in that direction. Brown Lake has now migrated to the new Neisler's enhanced reporting, the retirement reporting system, which I reported out on last month. And you won't hear any more about it. I won't be reporting to the board anymore about that. The system changed. It's supposed to be better. It's not. It's the same nonsense. It's just, more. It's fine. It is what it is.
But they haven't increased the amount we owe, right?
What's that?
They have increased the amount we owe.
Yeah, that's coming. For your information, the village received and deposited a $5,000 bonus check from Crown Atlantic for renewing our contract.
That's a cell phone.
That's, tower.
Yeah.
So it's a little extra money in our pocket. I'm asking for resolutions on the next three items. New monitoring instrumentation was needed in our water tower. So a resolution is requested to move funds from our water reserve repair fund to a spending and water account to pay the bill, decreasing code F8820.0 by $4,109.71. That's the water reserve for repairs account, and that would increase F8340.4 by the same amount, which is our spendable transmission distribution dash contraction.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item number 5. An invoice for scuba equipment was accidentally paid from the wrong expenditure code. That's my bad. A resolution is requested to correct the error, decreasing A3410.20 by $107.96. Fire protection equipment, and increasing A3410.41 by the same amount of fire protection contraction.
So moved.
Discussion?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Now, here's the one. An increase in staff pay and the Neisler's annual retirement payment increase of 35% from last year, from $31,000 to $47,000, $47,486 is requiring a supplement to avoid an overencumbrance. So I'm requesting a resolution to move funds from UFB to our state retirement expenditure account. That would decrease our A599 by $26,000 UFB account, increasing A9010.8 by $26,000 into the state retirement account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, first thing is a comment. I assume once we approve this, that we'll make that adjustment in the next year's budget, so, okay. Second question is, do we have any idea of the $16,000 difference? What percentage of that was due to staffing increases and what was due to just the increase in?
Well, yeah, I mean, 31,000 to 47,500, right, is the increase.
Right.
And
You said that for 2 reasons, right? So we increased.
well, that's just the amount for the state retirement.
Got it.
And the rest is due to the other $10,000 then is due to staff increases.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
And we didn't, from last year to this year in the budget, we didn't increase this line item. It probably should have increased anyway as a course of year to year.
Okay, so the overall, wait a second. I guess I'm misunderstanding the 35% increase is the increase in the retirement
Yes,
pay only,
yes.
but we're going from 26,000 to. Okay, I think I understand now. Okay, what was the reason behind the annual retirement payment?
I have no idea.
Okay, all right. That's all.
Okay, got a couple of mine answered, but when does the retirement system tell us? I mean, our budget year goes from June 1 to
May.
May 31st.
Right.
So when do they weigh in and tell us what our next payment's going to be, or next?
I'd have to look up, I'd have to look that up.
I mean, is this suddenly, they just kind of notify you that you need another?
When I get, what it looks like an increase to anything, I try to pass it up to Gary and we try to take note of it. Sometimes it gets missed. So I can't say that I didn't do something last year.
But I mean,
But I don't-
increase to 31% seems fairly significant.
It's steep, yeah, it's real steep.
Yeah.
Well, our health insurance went up a
Also,
good amount
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Well, that's not spread. The, the retirement payment increase is surprising to me. I'm just trying to understand, and I've been on the board a little while now, and I don't recall having. to
Is there
make
more
any adjustments
people?
to this Before.
No,
Do you recall them,
no.
Tom? So maybe that's what it is.
In the past, in the early aughts, I believe, it was going up quite a bit
Okay,
on an annual basis, but it seems to have leveled off for a while. But I don't know why 31%.
right.
I mean, the comptroller is gotta tell us, the village something about why they.
Can we take,
I can
maybe
get-
dig into
I
it,
can
find some
look into it and
understanding?
see if there's
Yeah.
any
Yeah,
issue
yeah,
with
yeah.
our fiscal year.
Conference of mayors or somebody must know something.
Yeah, all right, I can take that as an
Yeah.
action item.
Thank you.
Thanks,
No
Eric.
worries.
You got a vote here.
Okay,
Yes.
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yeah. All right, thank you,
Thanks, Eric.
chief. Chiefs.
Hi folks, how are you? We have 7 calls per month. Right now we're running a ride, we think we're just about ready to click the 500 mark, so we're still a little bit off from last year, but, still been busy. We have 262 drill hours, 200 training hours from outside training classes, and 269 event and meeting hours. So total hours for the month, not including our calls and the, block training program for our recruits, was 721 man hours for the month. So you can see on average, it's right around that 650 to 750 number, so it's, you know, roughly 10,000 hours a year that we're putting in from just a man hour standpoint. 11:30, we're all set to come down with Santa and 542 for the village tree lighting. Around 6 o'clock, I believe, correct?
What day?
11:30.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Toys for Tots Drive, we just had the convoy here this past weekend, it was very successful, so thank you for everybody that dropped off toys here. You know, we had a truckload of toys that went up, so I'm sure we made a lot of happy kids. We also got the results back from our ISO audit, so for those that don't know, it's the Insurance Service Office, and it's about an every 6-year audit. They come in and audit all kinds of our records, training, equipment, hydrants, etc., and so on. And what that means for you folks is the better our rating, the better your insurance costs are. So on a scale of 0 to 9, we fell in again this year at a 4 and a 4. So we're, you know, in pretty good shape. Next year, we actually have the potential to tick down into the 3 number. And for a volunteer organization, that's very good. So next audit won't be for another 6 years. And I think that was it there. I am not seeking re-election for this coming year, so thank you all for your support and everything that you've given me over this year. Chief Cameron is going to be approved, pending approval from the hose company, which will be in the next couple of weeks. We'll be taking over in 2025. So I'm in support of the 3 chiefs that will be coming down on the slate for January. So I will work in the backdrop with them for a smooth transition. We've actually already started the transition work and stuff with them. So, and Chief was here tonight going through the abstract and stuff to get him up to speed. So, but thank you.
Thank you, chief. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
I know it's just.
Wasn't like the chief's loss, was it?
No. No, you gotta give one, you gotta let the Bills win one every. It does only take 13 seconds.
That's true. Are we solid on that date? I know it's sort of his report, but are we solid
Oh,
on that date as far as the?
Well, it depends. We had a little discussion about the bonfire. There's a burn ban in effect till the 30th, so we can't do it unless there's torrential rains and the burn ban is lifted before the 30th.
Who determines whether the ban is lifted?
The governor.
You get any.
I mean, the fact that we're actually, yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Can't the fire department, monitor the fire and
I would imagine since it's a monitored fire, I mean, when you talk about a burn ban, you're actually talking about open burn or leaf burning.
Yeah, so they have a very tight definition on what that open, it's literally like a 3-foot fire pit, no fire more than 3 feet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Even having a fire suppression area doesn't suffice in the event of a burn ban.
So what we should really,
December 1st is a Sunday, so.
it's not up to me to determine,
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Sunday's a hard thing to do it, you know, you have kids going to school the next day and stuff. I mean,
Might be coming home from your Thanksgiving weekend.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's gonna be, it's something definitely we should, because it's already been advertised for the 30th. With no rain date.
We do a rain dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, go down Lowe's and get one of those fake, furnace.
Those electric ones.
Yeah, something just paint it out. Do it without the pump. Okay, well, I'll leave that up to
The powers that be.
Yeah.
I've been in touch with the powers that be and he's gonna keep in touch with me.
What exactly is the definition of an burn? It's larger than 3 feet. Yeah, so according to the state and the burn ban requirements, you can have a campfire in your backyard, it can be in the burn pit, it just can't be any bigger than 3 feet. You can't be burning anything other than clean wood, firewood.
So if we make the fire pit 34 inches wide, it doesn't fall.
I think he's talking about height of flame.
The height of flame, yeah, height.
Yeah, I got no problem.
And honestly, part of that definition is if you're cooking, you're exempt from the burn ban, right?
S'mores.
S'mores might not quite cut it, but.
Yeah.
Marshmallow.
Hot dogs.
Yeah.
You can look it up it's right on the DEC website. It'll give you
Okay.
The large.
I think we can find it.
I also think it's supposed to rain quite heavily for
Next
tomorrow
day.
and next day.
Yes, right.
It's all there.
Yeah.
Very good. All right.
Okay, code enforcement, Bob?
I haven't written any tickets since the last meeting,
Good,
because there's nobody parking out there.
good.
And the only animal control call I had was a call from Illinois again.
Yeah.
Asked me if I could speak Spanish first, and I said no, so she talked to me for a little bit, tried to get me to understand what was going on, and I said, where do you live? She says on Maple Avenue, and I said, are you in Illinois? Yes, we don't have a Maple Avenue.
We can have
Contact.
That happens
Yeah.
more often than you think.
We get checked
Yes.
sometimes.
All the time.
We have a separate revenue line item,
Donation.
foreign fund. Thank you, Bob. Peter?
The building permits are moving along slowly, work is progressing on people's houses. In January, we're doing fire inspections on about, I think it's about 15 properties in the village, multifamily, commercial properties. It was time for the 11 Ames Airbnb, their special use permit expired, so they went to renew it and I denied it. Thinking that it doesn't meet our definition of the owner living there. Their argument is that it's owned by an LLC and the LLC has an office there. I just don't buy it, so I know Tom has been in contact with their attorney.
And their attorney and I have a meeting scheduled at last Tuesday, which he will be off. I've since emailed and left a voicemail asking him to get in touch with me, and I've heard nothing. So maybe that has stopped. If we have anyone stay there as a short-term tenant, I think you and I should take the LLC to town court to get a fine.
There's been cars there.
Yeah, he's been renting.
Yeah.
Are you sure it would, like, if they're using that for an office, could that be part of the car thing, that they're maybe trying to make it visually look like it's their office?
I think his definition of an office is having a telephone.
No, it doesn't really meet the definition of what I think as being owner occupied for 9 months out of the year. I interpreted it that an LLC, the LLC also owns a number of properties in the area, including 4 other Airbnbs and multiple properties throughout Saratoga County. So I don't know how many, which is residence, which property is the LLC's residence? I mean,
Our law provides that in the case of an LLC, the owners of the LLC must reside for 9 months within the structure.
Yeah, section 9 is pretty clear. I'm just reading the code right now. I mean, having an office does not constitute.
yeah, well, that was my feeling, and so I denied his permit, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, auditorium.
Hello. So I've started an outline for the 2025 season, which I sent to just the mayor and its clerk. But we're placing holds for dates, and I'm in contact with the folks that will be filling those dates. So we plan to have contracts sent out in January. But until then, basically, what I have now is just holds. So we're planning to do tours like we did last year on Thursday mornings. And then we're doing organ recitals, and we favor the cooler months like September and August. But I do have an organist who's interested in doing one in June potentially. So that could be exciting, kind of different. But the trouble with some of the tour dates we had in June too is that it is so warm in the building. Scott and I were there ready to welcome people into the building, and nobody showed up. So it was just like, what was it, 90 degrees
90
that day.
plus.
But we are hoping for those tours to reach out to groups, maybe senior living centers, churches, anyone who's really interested in the history of the organ. Because we had one event where a bus showed up and brought a bunch of people. So I'm really thankful that Sharon started it as kind of an open house opportunity for people to learn about the organ in the building. And then I have holds for open mic nights. Thank you, Scott, for hosting those. And then planning to do 3 lecture series again. If anyone has any ideas for lectures, feel free to email us. And then movie nights is something that we had a few of last season, but I would like to pick those dates earlier so that we can advertise them better moving forward. So I'm planning for 4 of them, 1 in May, 1 in June, 1 July, and 1 in August. And then Paul Santee is really excited to perform again. And Improv Spaces Music Festival is returning. They're going to do 1 day. They did 5 days last year, and I think it's a good idea for this season for them to just fill a Saturday. So that'll be June 7th. And then otherwise, I'd like to do some more nights with like local musicians, and I'm leaning towards Friday nights and trying to do those once a month as well, May, June, July, and August. So maybe if there's 3 or 4 bands that perform in a local music night, and it's a good opportunity for people to bring golf carts, park outside, kind of hang out like a fun beer Friday type experience. And then we have the community events too that we use the space for. The only other thing that I did send into is the theater camp has sent us their full dates, and I confirmed with them that those will work. So Carpe Diem schedule is almost identical to what they did last year. I think it's about the same amount of uses, so we'll put together a similar contract. Yeah.
You get the idea
How much they take over.
right,
Yeah.
and how involved it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's an incredible program because it's not just the performers who learn, they also have the tree experience where people come in with Dan and learn a lot about the technical aspects of theater. And it's just a great opportunity for kids for the summer, especially in July. Nobody else wants to be there when it's super hot, so we'd let the kids take over during that month.
You know what performances are?
I don't know if they've announced it yet.
Okay. Here's.
Yeah, I think that'll come soon. Right, yeah. I think when they announce it, I'm pretty sure they put it on the website, so we'll just keep checking their website. Carpe Diem also would like to hold a fundraiser to raise money for the dressing rooms. Because they're the ones in the summer that use it pretty much all month. So they would like to hold a fundraiser, not an event, but just something that they email out to their families. And they're hoping to raise a few $1,000s that we can put towards that. And I was at the AP3 meeting last week and we kind of started talking about what that would look like. Because I think there's parts of it, like if we wanted to make some of the toilets operational, that might be something that AP3 would cover. But if there's like cosmetic details, maybe Carpe Diem's fundraiser could cover that. So that's something, I guess I'd just like to ask the board's approval for Carpe Diem to hold a fundraiser. And then maybe in the December meeting, we can talk about how that money will be spent once they raise it. And that's all I have. Unless you have questions.
We can allow them to give us money.
So I think their goal is around $3,000, $4,000. So that might cover just some of like, there's holes in some of the walls. And then maybe painting, and then we could.
They'll paint the outside.
Yeah.
I think was it years ago, the.
Fire
firehouse
department,
units,
yeah.
There was a whole thing about.
Oh,
that, and fire-
yeah.
And it was, you know, it's a big fundraiser for them too.
Ed will be talking.
So Molly brought up a good point at the AP3 meeting that we wouldn't necessarily want, because Carpe Diem said that they would give us money and manpower too in the form of volunteers from their families. We wouldn't necessarily want them doing some of carpentry, plumbing, those kind of trade work, especially not electrical. We'll just let Jason do that. But if we can find like some, maybe we do work sessions with the firehouse. I thought maybe we could do a work session with Carpe Diem, and I'll just hand people paintbrushes. But yeah, we'll just have to talk about some of the harder trade skills jobs there too. So. Yeah, that'd be great.
Dave, when you talk to Carpe Diem about this, see, that's for some kind of details, what they.
Yeah.
What are they?
So it's primarily the dressing room, and then.
No, but I mean, what kind of fundraiser are they gonna have?
Yeah.
For money, it sounds like.
So they're gonna send out an email blast,
Oh, okay.
and they were hoping to do it around the holidays because that's when people are in the giving type of mood.
Is it tax deductible by any chance?
Sure.
For them?
They're a nonprofit, right?
Yes. I think they are.
No, they're not yet. They're working on
Oh.
it. I had a long talk with Carpe Diem last year and it's in the works.
Yeah, so
They have not turned a profit since they started.
oh, so they could apply for nonprofit status.
Correct.
Losing money is actually.
I have a question, James.
Yeah,
They, you know, when they have an event there, we have 4 units for a bathroom. If you have, 200 people, 250 people there, you're required to have 15 to 20 units. How are we gonna deal with it? I mean, who's
Right.
gonna pay for that, to have porta johns or whatever they decide how to do it?
right.
I don't, you know, but it's something that should happen.
Yeah, I do think that that's a conversation we need to have with
With
them for
Carpe
the
Diem.
upcoming season. Yeah. The other thing too, he brought up, we have around 400 people there. They're the ones that consistently sell out our event.
Yeah,
So, I started talking with Paul Parker and some other members at the fire department about getting an estimate for fire alarm system in there, because I know the only one that's ever been in there has been in the dressing room, so we don't have something in the other space. And Paul Parker has mentioned to me that if that building had a fire, the only thing that's gonna save the building is that we get notified right away.
yeah.
We need a truck there, 10 to 15 minutes. So I would like to also ask for approval to start getting estimates for what type of system we could get in the building. So. Yeah, so
It'd be
it's
a good
the
idea.
bathroom
I
thing
think-
and then it's the fire safety thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, okay, so we'll work on getting.
Yeah,
estimates.
yeah.
A little
Uh,
It's just the issue with the porta johns is like,
Yeah,
it's, I don't know who pays for it, you know.
I know. AP3 is.
Okay, good.
If you're putting porta johns around the auditorium, you'll have to find another
Crocodile.
mayor.
No, exactly.
Yeah, there's gonna be a real issue with town of 15 porta johns.
Yeah, exactly. You dig holes.
Yeah.
What they do have is they have similar to the trailer that was brought in for the dressing room.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
extra bathrooms are needed, you could bring in a trailer that is like 3 or 4 extra additional stalls. Self-contained, it usually takes a 120-volt circuit out to it for lights and things like that.
Air conditioning.
That's a larger fee, but yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
The other thing is on the fire alarm system.
Uh-huh.
One of the things to talk about is to preserve the integrity of the building and the historical aspect. Beam detectors are what's going to primarily be used to cover the back space, because it's really high ceiling.
That makes sense.
And it's non-intrusive. So the 2 to 4 devices put on towards the gable ends that shine across. However, any birds that we get in there can will set it up.
Yeah,
That's
so that's something we want to avoid.
Yeah.
We go to a lot of calls
Yeah.
that are non-called.
So that's something that you might want to think about. And also, most of the fire protection systems that are head-based are also temperature sensitive when it comes to smoke. You can get exterior raised ones, they're more expensive, different system. So that's something also to think about, maybe in association with fire protection, is getting those windows tightened up, so that way critters
Yeah,
don't fly in.
Yep.
Set off fire protection.
yeah, I was there while Gail Archer was rehearsing and there were some birds flying around that would have definitely set it off. So
But
Yeah.
that would prevent, that would be the least expensive system, otherwise somebody would have to physically install
Yeah.
individual detectors all over the place.
Right. Okay,
All right, thank you.
that's my report.
Very good.
AP3.
Yeah, so that basically kind of rolls in, but David actually came and attended the AP3 meeting, and we talked about the things he was just talking about there. AP3, obviously, we're looking to, maybe do something with the dressing rooms, kind of, replace some of the doors and put some, maybe new wiring or whatever, like I said, but it's not something that's gonna be done by us or by Carp
It
Diem.
has to be-
It has to be done professionally, believe me.
Certified.
Yes, it has to be certified, yeah, so.
Also, the control booth. Dan wanted that cut in half.
That is gonna be on hold because of the extra space that the trailer, they're gonna be doing that every year. That kind of alleviated the problem with people going up into Dan's.
Okay,
See, he was having a problem with the kids going up and playing in the back of or eating food and stuff in the control room. So I think when they came out with using the air conditioning, I think they use the trailer now for air conditioning. So that's something we got on hold. And obviously that was something that we were gonna pay for anyways.
okay, good.
Yeah, so we're definitely looking into, helping out the village or whatever, financially. Along with that, we have the catwalk for the Oregon case, that's being done through Andover. I think that Molly and, I don't know, you or so they're gonna reach out to Andover, find out where we're at with that. We put a down payment on them and haven't heard anything from them since, so I'm hoping we can have that done before the next season, but And I think it's only gonna be to their benefit if they get it done, because they're the ones, it's a catwalk that needs to be put in so they can tune the pipes that are higher that they can't reach anyway, so. But that hasn't gone any further than our first meeting. And we'll know, when they start the work, they're gonna want more money, so they'll definitely know when that goes on. The barbecue that we had in September made around $1,840. And we are absolutely looking to just push that right back into the auditorium or into the village to, you know, help out the village with getting some things done. One small thing, we have one window pane that's been missing out of the auditorium for I don't know how long, but it's a very easy fix, little square. I don't know if we can get the village to do that, or we can send somebody over there to do that. That needs to kind of get done before the cold comes, or I mean, I'm sure the birds and stuff are getting through there. It's just an empty pane, so.
Which window is it?
It's right by the.
To the left
right
of
by
the-
front door to the
Yeah.
left-hand side of the seat. So that's something we can take care of pretty easy. If you don't think you have the time to do it, we can do whatever it is. Fix it in. We have 2 open positions. Oh, I'm sorry, but back to, we have a calendar that hopefully we'll have out in, the first week of, by the end of the first week of December. We did run through some glitches, losing some members of our organization that helped out immensely, and, you know, we're working on trying to get things done as quick as we can. What's the theme? The theme this year is community events. So we have most of the images that we need. But basically it'll be the events that go on in the village, community events that go on in the village, will have pictures to go on. We have 2 open board positions. They're basically members at large, board positions at large that don't hold any. I mean, we have our treasurer, we have a president and secretary. So just if anybody's interested in getting involved, the next meeting is on the 12th of December. Come by, 6:30.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Clerk.
Just noting 3 holiday events that are coming up. We have the markets coming up this Friday from 3:30 to 7:30. We have the tree lighting on Saturday, may get moved, but note that there's a fire ban. And then there's a gingerbread making house or gingerbread house making here in the community room on Saturday. I think they're using Pop-Tarts for their gingerbread pieces. So from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. We sent out a notice for fire inspections on multi-unit rentals, commercial businesses and places of assembly. And I think those inspections are supposed to start in January. And then the post office wants to remind everybody to make efforts to pick up their mail when you're receiving packages, that they're going to get overburdened this time of year. So your help is appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. And tree committee.
Thanks. Update on the big project coming up, there's focus around the auditorium. There are 20 trees there, and unfortunately 11 of them have to come down. Pretty big project, so could you help me out, let everybody know, let all the friends and neighbors know that it's gonna be happening. And here's our Facebook page for the committee. We've got an update on there, written down. It's probably one of the first postings, top of right there. Scroll down, but keep going. Keep going. There, yeah, up, that's that one right there. So it's just a discussion of what's happening and project, a little bit about the project. If you could just go there, give it a like and share, just to let everybody know the project's good. So the committee hammered out an RFP and a scope of work. We sent it to the DEC last week for review. Also contacted the local DEC forester, and she's going to start helping us out. She's going to review the RFP. We're meeting with her on Tuesday to do a walkthrough and discussion about the project. And she's gonna attend the kickoff meeting once it starts. So that's all good news. The other good thing is we just got out on Monday that any money we've spent or will spend this year can be applied to the matching. So the grant requires us to match funds. And it could be, tree removal and pruning like we're gonna do. It's going to volunteer hours. The pruning workshop that we attended, so all that can be applied to the budget. Because it was held up for months, we didn't know that was going to be, that's really good. Yeah, and just to take a look at it, I think this project is significant, but I think it's gonna set us up good for restoring the village and the grove. I think it's, kind of giving us a clean slate, and then we'll be able to come to a real solid planting plan for the future. And that'll take some real work, real business. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Alrighty, next, old business, community room use policy. Last meeting, we discussed it a little bit. We went away with the task of looking it over and coming up with any ideas for improvement. Any words of wisdom on this, or more thought needed for the next meeting?
Paul is using it, yes.
Yeah.
He's been using it a couple days. He calls, he gives me a couple weeks worth of stuff sort of around other people's schedules. One of his issues is access.
Yeah.
He needs to somehow gain access at
Yeah.
times when nobody else is in the building,
Right. Yeah, that was the big thing that I was.
right?
Yeah.
How is the mixed use going?
The what?
The mixed use with Paul being in here and every day-to-day happenings.
I don't think it's any different than anybody else who's having a meeting, like in different meetings that we have here, where, they're in a meeting and somebody comes in and needs the kitchen or the bathroom or something. I think everybody's just pretty, I don't know, they kind of understand the need for a public building to have those there. I don't think his stuff has been, we haven't interfered with him, he hasn't interfered with us. I don't see any.
Floor show going in and you're having your lunch.
You never know. Some of it is, some of the concerns that I see is if there's like too many things going on and you have to rearrange, like if nobody is using any of the stuff and it has to be pushed aside, and then all of a sudden there's something that's, everything's got to be set up and timing of things, if there's too many things going on. That's the only thing I could see on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It took me 10 minutes to set these chairs up.
Right. No, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, if there's just a lot going on, then it just.
Yeah. Like, Molly's setting up for the holiday market.
Right, if there's a meeting
Yeah.
that day or the night, the night before, the next day,
Mm-hmm.
you sort of just. Sometimes it can be tight.
Okay.
In terms of the
Yeah,
policy,
yeah,
in terms of the policy itself, I don't see any reason to change. I think it's fine unless, and I don't have one feeling one way or the other. The only thing we're really prohibiting is private social events, right? So if we're sticking to prohibiting private social events, I don't see any reason why we need to update policy, because it's pretty comprehensive. It covers all other eventualities.
Okay.
So unless we want to make a change and allow people to use it for a birthday party or baby showers.
Now, that would require paying somebody to let people in,
Right.
out, cleaning up, and that's another level.
Right, exactly. So if that's the case, then I don't think we need to revisit it.
All righty. New business, street light shields. We updated this a couple years ago. and with the old streetlights, and they told us that they no longer made them. So we kind of let it drop, and then Matt's project on replacing the streetlights. Apparently, we found out that they are now available with the new ones at a cost of $300 a piece, one-time fee. So we've had a few people interested. The question for the board is, a worst case scenario would be replacing all 135 or installing shields on 135 light poles at $300 per. That's over $40,000. That seems kind of silly. There's several ways of approaching it. Lottery system, cost sharing.
Well, I think we gotta have a start point where people would make a request. And
Yes.
you might have call it something, a request to have a light shield put on this particular light, identify the pole. There's a pole number on every pole, and you know, and that kickstarts something.
Yeah, so gather information, see how many residents, not including Victoria Landing and Griffin's Ridge, because they have the underground light, underground electric and pedestal ones.
Yep.
Those lights are not, included in our inventory for what it's worth.
Right.
They're not included in the 135. My suggestion would be to have an application on the website, where somebody can fill it out and email the village clerk. From there, it's a case of how do we want to approach the cost potential, whether we want to limit the number that we do per year. If so, you know, if we have, say, 10 per year and we have 20 applicants, how do we go about doing that? And should we require either an application fee or some form of cost sharing? Because I've heard, you know, the residents that want to change, they're pretty amenable to sharing that cost.
I'm sorry.
The other thing that I think we should look into is when we put the shields on, it's gonna change the light back.
Yes.
What is that, what is that going to do? Is it, the lights are designed in a specific pattern to provide X number of lumens on the roadway and the walking paths?
Yeah.
What is putting the shields on going to do? How is it going to affect that minimum lumen number that we were trying to achieve?
Yep. I agree.
Number
with
two
you
with
also.
that
Yep.
is, I don't think it should be one particular house that, unless they want to pay for it themselves, I don't think it should be one house dictating the what happens to light surrounded by 15 or 20 other houses.
Right.
It should be something that is brought up, hey, they put in the application, and then something gets sent out to the surrounding affected houses. Do you want a shade on the light? And as long as the lighting change of adding the shade doesn't cause a negative effect, a dark spot, a blind spot, something to that effect, then if the majority of those 20 houses want shade, then
It's a little complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
It's a little more complicated than I thought, but what I would like to see is how it works. So I'll try to find out where they have any installed around here.
Yeah.
Matt and I went out to Stillwater and looked at them before we.
And Jason makes a great point about darkening the surrounding area, because I called it out the other day on the face, as it is, I was driving down the street the last couple times with the earlier nights, and you literally can't see people until you're up on top of them, because we purposely designed those lights to be as low impact as possible. They don't add a lot of ambient light, and it could potentially cause issues with pedestrian safety, further issues. So I think it's just not, it's not as easy as it may seem to do.
yeah, I think it seems really easy to throw a shade on, but
Right.
I don't.
It's a good idea, Gary, if we have areas where, if they could give us a recommendation of areas nearby that have them installed, so we can see the impact.
I think the bigger thing with LED lights is the physical light at the pole itself is so much brighter.
Yes,
So when you're at the right angle where that's what you see, it appears brighter, but it's actually not.
it isn't, yeah.
That
The
much
biggest
brighter.
complaint I've heard is light going into bedrooms.
But that's
I
the
don't think
really
that's gonna
bright
change.
LED that they can see.
It's because the bedroom,
bed-
it's because the
closer.
pole is higher
Right.
than,
So
the
high.
pole is higher than the bedroom typically, and so therefore the light bulb essentially goes in, I mean, I got one right out front, I've said this, no, I got one right out from my bedroom, so I get it, but you know, we have blackout shades and so yeah, I think the next step would be to see how that impacts other areas, and then if we do decide to proceed, I think the best way to do it is to take applications on the website. And then we'll put some mechanism in place where we require a board authorization or something along those lines.
I think there ought to be a fee attached to it.
Yeah, I do, because we're gonna, yeah, absolutely, it's taking time.
$300 a pop, serious inquiries only.
Yeah,
Because you'll have people say, well, put a shield up on my light. Oh, I don't like it. You can take it off.
yeah, well, that's what I mean, I
So-
think, and it's gonna take the clerk time to
Yeah,
process.
charge them at both
Right.
ends for the request.
Well,
Yeah.
they put the light, they get the shield on it, and then they say, wow, you can't see anything when
Can't
you're
see
walking
anything,
up
take
and
it
down the
off.
street, you know? Um,
So that'll cost you another
But-
$50.
Wasn't there something with the old lights that you could put them and set them deeper? And so that they weren't as bright, like on the,
Well,
that's,
they had
so they
more
weren't shining
diffuse-
in people's,
They had like more diffuse light, which which caused other issues, right? So like the whole point of LEDs is they're directional and they create a specific pattern of light. There's less light pollution.
NICEAG should be able to provide the spread pattern of their current light. And then what the spread pattern with the diffuser
Yeah.
should
I mean,
be.
if you were designing the building from scratch, you would not set up the lights the way that they're set up, but it is what it is. They put like, you know, there's recommendations on how frequently you're supposed to put the lights, what intensity the lights are supposed to be, what height the poles are supposed to be at, so. We gotta make do with what we have here, and I'm sympathetic to folks that don't want it shining in their bedroom window, but it's not as easy as it might seem to solve.
I think you just lower the, if you're worried about people getting hit, we have a problem with traffic. It's not a
Yeah.
Problem with lights.
Yeah, well, I was driving down the street the other night and somebody was walking their dogs in the middle of the street and I literally could not see them until I was 10 feet away from
I
them.
was up in Country Knolls, saying,
Yeah, yeah, but people walk on the street in the village, they don't walk on sidewalks. We don't have,
Country Knolls too.
Yeah.
There's no sign.
yeah,
But it's the same thing all over, we can't, people wear black, dark colors.
right.
Same thing happened there, I said,
Right.
wow,
Yeah.
I think maybe I shouldn't be driving.
Alrighty.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm there yet, Peter.
yeah, but is there a difference between spotlights and floodlights? Spotlights is I know in the house, when you're dealing with houses, there's a difference, floodlight is a bigger,
Yeah,
broader.
that's what Jason was talking about,
And
right?
the spotlight is straight down.
Yeah, and your LED fixtures have specific spread patterns. At X height, it spreads this.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're coming down the hill over the village at nighttime and you look at the LEDs, you cannot see a single one of them because you're above the height of of where the fixture is. It only lights the street. It's really the problem is when you're underneath the light.
Yeah.
You can see the bulb. Because they are so directional. If like drive down the hill and look next time when you come into the village.
I don't think it's the ambient light that people are seeing. I think it's the brightness
bulb.
of the actual physical LED.
Yeah, which is, I guess, the shield is supposed to solve for, but we need to do more research.
Alrighty, any correspondence?
Yeah, the only thing was we had received just a note from somebody up on Griffin's Ridge that sent a message after the DPW cleared the brush. And they wanted to acknowledge that the ground crews did a great job on the South Island and they appreciated it very much. Thank you for making the cleanup a reality.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I said, oh, I'm sorry, I sent them,
I didn't put them in the agenda.
I sent them to, I gave them to each one of them, but they're, because we sent them out to people. Sorry.
Okay, next is approval of minutes of October 16th, 2024. All of us were here. Street light superintendent. Lieutenant.
Motion to approve those minutes from the October 16th meeting. Second.
Discussion? Huh?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Next is approval of abstract.
Make a motion to approve the abstract in the amount of $212,000, sorry, $212,095.26. Approved as follows: from the A fund, $142,013.05. F fund, $6,715.26. Problem there?
Yep, there's a problem. Because that's the entire amount of the abstract, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um,
We gotta do the bonus for the sewer.
Yeah, G fund looks a little,
yeah, can we do the math
Yeah,
on
I'll
that?
do that. Yeah, give me 2 seconds. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yep.
so Mr. Treasurer, is there any news about the sewer
About the sewer.
sewer fund?
What?
The sewer fund?
Because I want to spend $212,000.
No.
On a completely different note, I'm gonna be going to Bahamas for a couple of weeks.
They don't edit these, so you're in trouble. No, the last payment for the sewer line.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
$63,395.95 from the G fund.
Yeah, that seems,
payment.
that seems awfully big for the sewer payment.
It is, and that's because we just made our last payment on our sewer bond.
Oh.
62,000.
Yeah.
How much?
Give me
63,000.
time,
Each person
give
bill
me
it.
time.
Oh, I don't know. We
About
probably,
$150 a year,
For $75 each. Yes,
roughly, but
okay, yeah, I'm not gonna.
yeah, we can hold them to that.
No, you said, yeah.
Rough.
It'll be good. Work
It'll be
good.
good, yes.
Yeah.
That's a good chunk. That's a lot of money. Yeah.
get some relief, so we have to,
We gotta figure out what we're gonna spend it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, keep it in
New
the system.
New York State retirement is
Yes,
already,
already. Shields, how many shields? is that?
Shield retirement.
Yeah, right, there you go.
Shields.
All right, so we have the numbers for this.
I just made it, yeah, somebody second?
Did you-
Second.
Oh, did
get
you
it?
want the number? It's 63,366.95 here.
Nope.
Oh,
Sue, no.
Huh?
Do you have the correct number?
Yeah, no,
63,366.95 from the G fund. Everything else is correct.
okay. Oh, and so the 212 is the
Yes.
total number, got it.
You seconded, John?
Yes, I did.
Okay, discussion.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Ready, Mr. Village Attorney.
Have a fire department, which functions very well, thank you. But there are two ways in which a village can provide fire protection services. And we're not following either of the two. So I put together a draft local law to have us adhere to the New York State village law. And I suggest that we sit down perhaps at the next workshop meeting that we have a couple of weeks from now with members from the host company and get their input, their thoughts.
Just as a quick aside, there are two types of fire departments.
And there are two ways to run a fire department by a village.
Can you shortly describe them?
One is you have, public elections and you have fire commissioners who are appointed and they run the fire department.
Yeah,
And the other is that the trustees can serve as commissioners,
yeah.
which is kind of what we're doing
I
now.
was just saying.
Together with a committee from the host company that's providing the actual firefighting services. And then you have certain people from the host company who, together with the trustees, would make those decisions.
Okay, so we're missing the committee.
I'm sorry?
So we're missing the committee. If we want to have. Maybe that's what the members of the.
I'm not sure this will amount to an actual change the way anybody does anything,
Right.
but we do want to be in compliance with law.
Fair enough. I just wanted the post notes,
Yeah,
description quickly. Thank you.
you'd have to establish a fire district to have commissioners be elected. Correct?
Well, that would be the village. Would be
Okay,
that area,
okay.
but I can't, we have separate elections in early December to elect commissioners. Cannot
No,
imagine.
but I think my point, maybe I'm missing here. The village owns the equipment, which is administered by the hose company.
Right,
And they take care of all that stuff. They take care of Boston Spa, take care of Malta, they take care of Round Lake. If you had a fire district, the village would just be part of that district. It wouldn't be the owner of the equipment. That would be, then go to the district, the fire district.
I don't believe that is the case.
Okay.
I don't think that our ownership of the equipment is gonna change. And I don't think the practical operation of the fire department, includes the hose company. The fire department is everybody who's sort of involved
Right.
in providing firefighting services, which is the board of trustees and the host company.
So going back to what Eric said, we have been fire commissioners technically, the trustees, but we've we don't have this backing committee. This group, okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
So we have to decide which path we want to go with. Which it seems kind of obvious, so just think about it for a minute and make sure that's true.
But the statute provides who would be in that committee that would work with the trustees.
Got it.
Okay.
Let's digest this for the next meeting.
And meet with the host company. Yes.
Trustees,
I just want to mention one thing, we've discussed this in the past, I just want to forget it. I could talk with John or, and Barry about it. The barn alley, the DPW side where we tried to get some plantings and make it look halfway decent. And we have very limited success over there. I'd just like to keep that, topic alive, and like I said, I can come in and talk to the mayor and talk to John.
okay. Yeah, Eric. Jason?
No.
Nothing. Okay, public comment.
How many votes did, you and the children trustees were going to get?
It's up, I don't know, it's up on the Board of Election, Saratoga County Board of Election website.
Yeah, they have it broken down, municipality.
Yeah.
So you can go in and you can see.
They don't have the writings though, Jim, so don't get your hopes up.
Yeah.
We don't know how many writings.
Somebody wrote you in, you didn't win.
Nobody wrote me in. I'm not worried about that.
That stuff should be ready by the November 30th, I think they said they have the complete tally up there. Mr. Block.
Quick things, one for you.
Yeah.
You mentioned tours.
Mhm.
I know some tours have been done similar for other kinds of things. If there are any senior, like independent living places in the range, they love signing up people to go on with things.
That's where the bus came from.
That is, yeah.
That is where the bus.
And it was great.
I think if you contact those places,
Oh, yeah.
it's very likely, it's always looking for.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other thing was just with the street lighting, being one of the people, I didn't voice it before, but we have the same issue with it in the bedroom. That's right there. I think Jason made really good points about you want the spread to be right, but I think you're right, it's, it's not supposed to spread this way, but it does into the, the light is bright. So it'd be interesting to see are these shields, I don't know if there's more than one kind or not. I think the idea is not to reduce the spread this way, how far it's going, but what's coming off the brightness. If there's a smaller shield that helps protect the second floor and even first floor bedroom windows, which really does really bright.
Yeah.
Which we knew when our light went out for a while. So our street light was off, I was like, heaven. So I think if you check that out, that would be great.
Yep.
And also, if you do any kind of application type of things, you might have an area if somebody wants to, where they could pull all their neighbors and put it onto one application. You could go to each of the houses, I don't know, rather than going, hey, why don't you go put one in also? I mean, they could if they wanted to, but maybe there's a place to say, if you talk to neighbors and list them.
Yeah, good ideas.
By the way, everybody I've heard from, it's the bedroom window.
Yeah.
Almost everybody is concerned about.
Yeah.
Maybe a short shield, that just covers light that's coming off kind of this way.
Yeah.
Or an adjustable shield.
Two different ones about the lights being low. Companies have been putting taller poles in recently. Are they actually raising the lights when they do that? Or are they putting them right back where they are, shining in everybody's windows?
I couldn't answer that.
I couldn't either. I never really paid any attention, but that might be a partial solution to consider as well, because everybody's talking about how the light is right at their window level. If it's higher and it's down.
I actually did talk to the guy when he was installing them, and they cannot do that. There is a certain height so whatever the heights were before, were not the official heights. So there's like the heights that the lights were at before, like mine was lower. When they put the new pole in, they put them up higher. That's the actual.
So they are moving the lights.
They are moving.
Okay.
The lights are definitely.
But the old lights spread more sideways.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Oh,
Hi, Paula Doyle from Victoria Landing. I'm on the board. You talked about the water meter was broken. We consolidated our water meter, our sprinkler system. We had two systems with hooked up to two of the different water meters.
Okay.
And we put a rain sensor in, so we're down to one system. So I'm wondering if that's why.
No, those are separate meters. This is just a main meter, just to keep a record for the health department. Every individual house, every irrigation has a meter on it.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with
Absolutely not.
tracking the waters being, the water usage.
Right, absolutely.
Okay, but we, technically, that probably other water meter probably will not, because we were getting two bills from one of the, from the one
You
system
know?
and the other system. One was large, one was a larger amount and one was a smaller amount.
when
You
say
mean-
you consolidated, then what do you mean?
We had two separate systems running. Two different, we thought they were on two different meters and we were getting two bills in June and two bills in December. So we put a rain sensor on the system, so the AJ Sprinkler Company came in and took away the second system and then they connected everybody to the one main system. So there
Then
should be
when-
only one.
Well, when we do meter reads,
Which we just did. I'll-
whatever is there and whatever.
Right,
It dawned on me that we just changed the system and that.
but I'll look, I'll notice it when I see the
Yeah.
readings come in, so I'll pay attention to it.
Might now be very low.
Well, and then sometimes the bills, typically the bills in June are low. Than the ones in, right, and then people with the irrigations or different sprinkler systems
Right.
cause it to be higher this time of year.
It's in June, so you might see a difference,
Okay,
but probably still good.
but I'll kind of keep it in my head to look at it when the readings come through, whether it's one reading or two. Because they're pulling the readings, they're pulling the readings from someplace.
Yeah.
So technically, right, but technically, if you've disconnected one of them or it doesn't exist anymore, it shouldn't have a read or.
I thought it was just right.
Ready anymore?
There were 5 write-ins, Gary,
Oh,
so we'll figure out what those are.
How many of them were- and not animals? How many were people and not animals?
That's right.
okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second favor? Aye.
They're right outside the door.
Thank you.